Good morning, everyone. Appreciate you all coming out today. Obviously, it's been a hard couple of days here for the USF family and certainly for the Abdur Rahim family. Our hearts remain with him and his family as we go through these challenging times. But to the community and the Bulls Nation, really from the whole, you can just tell by the reach that Amir had, well beyond basketball, the input of outpouring of love and comments and offers of support are so appreciated by the family and by our department as a whole. And so we're very grateful for that. I also want to thank Kennesaw State University for their help this past weekend in hosting the first of two celebrations of life for Amir. It was important for the family to have Amir brought to Atlanta and for Kennesaw State to host a wonderful celebration to honor his glory was very much appreciated by all. We will have, as has been mentioned, but just to reiterate, we will have a similar celebration of life here in Tampa for the Tampa community, USF community, to honor his legacy, to celebrate his life, and to certainly continue to pour love into the family and to our basketball program. That'll take place on Saturday, November 2nd at 11 a.m. Community is open to attend. All are welcome. Other things that we continue to drive home are ways to support different initiatives that are so important. Number one, ways, because people are asking how to help. What can we do? And number one, there is the Future Foundation, which is a foundation set up by the Abdur Rahim family that we provided links before. We will do so again today. That's on our website. But that's one great way to help support his vision and legacy. And we have a tribute page that's identified on GoUSFBulls.com that has a way for all fans and everyone that knew him intimately, or if you've only met him once or you never had a chance to meet him, to kind of share with the family some memories of positive memories of him that is a way for everyone to kind of to express how much he meant to each of you. So I encourage you to do that and look at that tribute page. But as we continue to process this, we also know that it's important to work through. Our focus continues to be and has always been since Thursday afternoon on our players, on the family, and having a way to transition as we move forward with this season. And as we look toward a exhibition game that we have tomorrow night, it was one that, in consultation with the players, that they wanted to play and continue on to get ready for the season ahead. That will continue to take place tomorrow at 7 o'clock here against Edward Waters. And when we do that, we'll be led by our interim head coach, who will be head coach Ben Fletcher. And I'm going to introduce Ben here in a moment. But as I hope you know, Ben was with us last year. He was with Coach Amir for the 4 seasons of success at Kennesaw State and the incredible transformation they led there. And he had a highly successful career at Troy, both as a player and as a coach at Troy. Was one of the people that actually helped them get to the NCAA tournament, both as a player and as a coach. And I think, as Ben has told me, he outscored Amir when they played in college, I think, if I understand the story. He'll correct the story when their journey together started, even as playing against each other back in college. So there's no question in my mind that Ben is the right man to lead our program forward. Coach Amir has everything built an elite staff, and we've got a great staff to guide us through this season, and no better person than Associate Head Coach Ben Fletcher, who is now our interim head coach. So please join me in welcoming Coach Fletcher as a new head coach. He'll make an opening statement, and then we'll open it up to questions. So, Coach Fletch.
To God be the glory. I'd like to thank everybody for your ongoing support. Just know that does not go unnoticed. It's a difficult time, as you know, but I know Coach Amir would want me to do this. So just thank you and know that I don't take this lightly.
Thank you, Coach. All right, we'll open up to questions. Joey?
Moving forward with this season in light of this tragedy, what are your concerns? What are your thoughts about how to best move forward and play with the players and guide them in the way they need to be guided?
Well, as we said, as we dealt with this for the last 4 days, it's been a process for everyone. Everyone processes things in different ways. I think we've given the right space to do that in all of our individual ways and try to find ways to come together as a team and as a family and Coach Fletch and the staff have done a tremendous job of doing that. Guys are eager to do what they love and do what Coach wanted them to do, both as basketball players and as men. And so they're eager to get on with that transition. And so to me, for all of our fans, how do we pour our love and focus on this team? Let's support this team to allow them to perform at their very best, to strive for championships and to strive off the court for everything that Amir stood for. And I'm very confident they will. It's a strong bunch. It's a great bunch. And they wouldn't be here if they didn't believe in Amir and they didn't believe in the staff that he assembled, because, as you know, Coach did everything as a team.
Fletch, what are the biggest challenges for you to transition and to get players ready to play games in a tough time?
Well, I think the biggest thing is making sure we give our guys the support that they really need, as well as the staff. But I think the guys are moving in the right direction. I know that they knew Coach loved them. I think they know that the staff loves them. So it's just making sure they get the support that they need. And MK and Lee Butler and Jackie Grant, they've been awesome with giving us the counseling, the support that we need. So that's the most important thing right now is the guys.
Michael talked about it, but can you tell us about kind of how far you look back with Amir and the first time you met and all that stuff?
Now we do have to make a
Correction?
we got to make a
Okay,
correction.
all right. So I want you to set the record
So
straight.
we played against each other when I was at Troy, and he was at Southeastern Louisiana, and we would always talk about it, and I would say we won the game, and he would always say, well, I scored the most points, and I would always say, okay, head coach, right? Would you want Jaden Reed to say that? But it's crazy now. It's a tongue twister. So my college coach coached his college coach in high school. So we all we've known each other for a long time, and it was crazy how it all came about, but it was pretty significant.
I'm not trying to get you choked up, but
Yeah.
what made him so special? Just as a coach or as
And he always told you the truth, and he would always say that, and that was our thing, truth. But man, I think if you saw the tribute on Sunday, that told you everything you needed to know. And I basically expressed that through my speech, because it was probably 5 or 6 people that went before me, and almost everybody to a T got up and said the same thing, like who he was as a father, who he was as a husband, who he was as a man of faith. All of those things were consistent with everybody. But I thought the biggest thing for me was Terrell Burton, who was our point guard year 1 at Kennesaw, and you guys saw Brandon Stroud. I think when you look at those 2 guys over our tenure, the development those guys had was incredible. Terrell Burton was a shy kid who hated to talk, and he was able to get up there and give a speech and read a letter that he wrote to Coach Amir. I thought that was special, and I thought that spoke to his ability to connect with his players and his staff.
Coach, if you can pinpoint one thing, if it's possible, that you've learned from Amir, your relationship with him, what would it be?
Man, it's hard to narrow it down. I was looking back through, some of our text messages, and the one thing he would always tell me, even being at Kennesaw, he would always say, man, you're ready. Like, God is preparing you for this, and soon, you're going to get your opportunity and show everybody what you're capable of. And that's just who he was, I'm sure you guys will always talk about the wins and losses. I think he knew year one, Kennesaw, when we only won one game. And I would always go into his office and tell him, hey man, you're doing a great job. You know, no record is gonna tell you what impact you have on people around you. And like, man, you're doing a great job. So, you know, it's a lot. I can't narrow it down to one thing to what he's taught me. There's too many. But just know the what he left me with was special. And, you know, I want to make sure, you know, his family, they can still be a part of this because it's what he would want.
Similar question, Coach. Not going to try to be here, but no one's like him.
Right.
But from a basketball standpoint, what are some of the things that were his principles that you're not going to change?
None of that would change. None of that would change because he and I both, you know, over the years, kind of developed the scheme that we have. So nothing would change basketball-wise from that standpoint.
North, players holding up.
It's, you know, it's like me. you got hard days, and I'm sure a lot of those will continue to come in, but they're a resilient bunch. You know, we've done everything in our power to make sure and ensure that they have the proper counseling that they need. So, you know, we had a scrimmage that we were supposed to play at Miami on Saturday, and obviously, you know, I didn't even ask. Like, we were not going to put them through that. We were not going to take the floor until I absolutely knew that they wanted to and they were ready for that. So I thought Saturday was our first time practicing, and in typical Amir fashion, man, those guys were as locked in as I've ever seen. And I know that, you know, that was their way of honoring him.
Did you give them the option of whether they wanted to play this exhibition game?
Absolutely.
And they just,
They wanted to play. They wanted to play. They wanted to practice Saturday because I was steadfast on, like, you guys tell me when you're ready. Because, man, the last thing I want to do in this situation is, you know, force those guys to do something when they're grieving as well. So, like I said, everything that we've done has been to ensure that those guys are okay.
Coach, what is the balance between your emotions for your friend that are obviously there versus being there for the kids, being strong, leading them, and living kind of in both worlds there?
That's the hardest thing because I know how I feel, you know. So, you know, I look in the back and I see Cody, our strength coach, and I know who that guy is. I see Griff McComb. I know who he is. I see Trent Patterson. I know who he is, and I know what Amir meant to every one of those guys. So it's tough trying to balance it. But I know when that time comes, I will be the guy for those guys, for sure. I will be. Because, like I said, this all comes and goes, and it comes in waves. I'll make sure I speak to the right people first. That way they can know that I'm being the example to show them it's okay. Because it's a hard time, and that's what it is. And we're going to have hard times in life, you know, but you have to find a way to make it through.
Michael, did you consult the players before you appointed him, or was it just naturally assumed that that's what you would do?
No, I did not. With our conversations Amir and I had in the off season and the promotions that he recommended that occurred back in June, he was steadfast in his support, and I certainly agree with that in terms of Ben being elevated to associate head coach, and from there it became the logical progression for us to do this move today. But it's a staff. I mean, they work together as a staff. Amir has assembled an elite staff, and I have highest of confidence in every single one of them to be there for our kids and to perform to the very best of their abilities.
Coach, kind of going off that, do you feel like keeping this staff together, keeping you as your head coach, in a way, keeps Amir on the floor at the same time?
I couldn't hear that last part.
Like keeping this staff together, keeping this team together, do you feel like that keeps Coach Amir on the floor at the same time?
Absolutely, absolutely. I feel like it's unfair to bring somebody else into this situation. Even before all of this, it was all about us, and we're going to keep it that way. It's all about us, right? And Coach Amir would always say, nobody's going to put an expectation on us. And I just want the staff and the players, as well, to know, like, there's no expectation here, right? But we're going to uphold the standard that he left behind.
Coach and Michael, if you'd like to, we know what Coach Amir means to Tampa Bay and USF. We saw what he means to Kennesaw State, but could you speak to the reaction as a whole from the basketball world and everybody that has been touched by this that in the last week,
Yeah.
even beyond the two worlds that he lived in?
Man, I think it just speaks to the person he was. It didn't shock me that the turnout at Kennesaw was the way it was. I mean, the guy, I would always tell him, I called him homecoming king. I said, man, one, you're always on the phone. I said, but two, man, you're always going to check on everybody else. Man, when do you have time to check on yourself? But that's just who he was, and I got a text from his mom yesterday, long text, paragraph. And all the things that, I knew about Amir, she expressed in the text. And I said, man, even she knew he was as stubborn as it gets, so. Well, I hope I answered your question. I'm sorry. I got a little lost there. That was very Amirish.
Yeah. Michael, what about the basketball world as a whole, everybody that's weighing in here?
Yeah, you've seen it. I mean, certainly from the basketball coaches and players across the country that he's, again, it's like I use the word connection as he did with his players, as he did with the staff, but he's connected this whole community. He connected everyone he ever touched, and that's what, so I guess one way it didn't surprise me, but when you kind of take a step back and just see how vast it was, I mean, I think I've heard from every college conference commissioner. I think I've heard from every AD in the league and ADs throughout. I think I heard from the president of ESPN yesterday. I mean, just that, he did that all here in one season with his impact with us, but his impact with that. But it's just because it was beyond basketball. On one hand, you're surprised because it was so vast, but on the other hand, I'm not surprised because, as Fletch just said, he found a way, no matter how big or small, no matter how well he knew you, to have that connection with you. As I said in the speech the other day, he bought into the lesson that we're all more alike than we are unalike, and it was magical to watch him walk around this campus. And your story, I thought, was amazing to talk about, even connection with the student body and things of that nature. So it's surprising and unsurprising at the same time, but it's still pouring in. As he wrote on the whiteboard when they played in the NCAA tournament, love wins, and that philosophy seems to be carrying itself out in terms of how people are caring about him and the family.
Michael, any one or two moments or memories of Amir that you're especially going to kind of hold dear?
Man, it's been hard to process, kind of like Fletch too. I mean, there's the immediate shock when I got a call at 1:58 on Thursday, October 24th, to be in this building at 2:45 with the team. I probably broke down more the next day when you kind of realize some things happen, but you just realize that you're having to process, and my role is to support the family and the players, and that's what we've tried to do very, very much, and that's what we're going to keep doing. But memory-wise, just, man, what a joy to be with forget about a coach-AD relationship, just the fact that things that you would almost normally want to ask someone to do, he was already there. Going to the student union, buying coffee for the student body, throwing out first pitches, help every coach try to just to kind of get to understand and learn their play. He wanted to know their players. He wasn't trying to help coach, just a lot of different things. And I guess what hit me, and I think I talked about it with Derek Sharp yesterday, during the hurricane, the basketball team went to Jacksonville to relocate. And the only building on campus, at least athletically, that had any power was the basketball facility here. So I was up in his conference room kind of trying to help navigate us through the storm 8 days ago. And he called me and to check on me. How are we doing leading through this hurricane? What we got to do? And as they're on their way back, he's like, hey, I'm heading over to Disney World because I got to see this little girl of mine smile at this birthday celebration. And that's what he did. And he was calling to tell me about that. And then when I remember turning around, unplugging my devices, there was that, what I gave him was Coach of the Year trophy. And he told you, I think you remember at a post-game press conference, he said, that's going to say Staff of the Year when I get my hands on it. Lo and behold, when I put the stuff back in my briefcase, I looked at it and it said Staff of the Year. And when Fletch and I were just coming downstairs, I said, look at that. So, hey, he delivered on the promises that he said he was going to keep. And as I said the other day at Kennesaw, I remember at our first in-person meeting at my house, he said, I don't make promises I can't keep, but I promise that we will be the most connected basketball team in college basketball. And clearly that was true. And but he did much more than that in terms of connecting the university, connecting the community. And we're honored that he chose to share a part of his journey with us.
Michael, he likes to characterize, USF's Tampa Bay basketball team.
Yeah.
We know what the school and the team as well. What did his community, what did Tampa Bay do to the community?
Well, we always pride ourselves on being Tampa Bay's home for hoops. It's the one pro sport that we don't have here, and so we play like pros. And I guess I just to echo what Coach Fletch is saying, like we do and we will continue to play to a standard. And I hope our fans continue to come out to see, not only because we had a successful year last year, but to love the way they play, to love those kids, and to love what Coach Fletch and what Coach Amir put together with his staff are going to continue to do. So we're still Tampa Bay's home for hoops. We just have a new standard and we have a new vision of what can be accomplished. And if you remember what he said in his press conference about what we can accomplish on the court, but he had a vision of setting a standard here. You all know how much I love the sport of basketball. You know how much confidence I have in Lee Butler as our sport administrator here. We came here to build an elite basketball program, and we have, and we will continue to do that and find every way possible to do that. And he's obviously set the amazing standard of how we can continue to fulfill that vision.
Fletch, as you know, everybody's had a loss, knows that life does move on, and the season will move on. How much do you think emotion will play a factor in your season, the memory of Coach Amir? How tangible will it be? What will be its presence as you go on and play these games and play your season?
I mean, Amir was I don't know how to put it. He will spearhead us through this season, I know it. We will not try to forget or push emotions to the side. Like, this is real life, you know, so those guys will have to grieve at their own pace. But what we want to do is continue to pour into those young men and make sure they have the support they need. But as far as basketball, like, we will keep his name alive.
Without getting specific, and I want to be delicate with this, was he fighting something physically even last year when he led to that unprecedented season? Was he fighting for something physically?
Well, we want to make sure, first and foremost, that we respect the Abdul Rahim family's privacy at this point, and we don't want to speculate anything or go past what we've already put out. The family, they want to properly put something out, and they'll do that at their own time.
Thank you all.